You asked me to talk about myself, about my brother. First, I give you an idea how my family lived, how my parents lived, and what town I come from, right? My father was married twice. The first time, he lived in a very small town. Maybe there were 100 people living there. What I remember, what he told me, that time they didn't have any running water, they didn't have any electricity, so it was very primitive. I remembered all my life that my father used to wash up with cold water in the morning, in the summertime and in the wintertime. Why? Because when he grew up, they went out and washed and got washed up in a well. The little town had a well, so everybody went there to wash up. So he used to that. So I remember him doing this all his life. His first wife died and giving birth to Sophie. How do I know about that? When I came to the United States, I was in Schwuz. I went to shul with a friend, and we were talking. So there was a man sitting in front of us, and he asked me where I come from. So I told him, well, you don't know. So we started to talk, and this man happened to live with my father, my father's house with his first wife. He was running away from Russia, and he wanted to come to America, so you had to work to earn enough to come here. So for half a year he stayed in my father's house. So he was telling me that his first wife was pregnant, and Yom Kippur, she cried. At that time it was very, dangerous for a woman to give birth to a child, because there was no hospital there. Childbirth, the birth was given in the house, so it was dangerous. And actually, that's what happened to her. She died at child's birth, and he was telling me. After my father was left with a little girl, so after a couple of years, he got married again to my mother.
And how many years difference between your mother and your father? 10?
10 years difference. 10 years difference. My father was the eldest, not the eldest, there were 5 children in my father's family. He was the eldest son, and they were very poor. His father was a very sickly man.
Where did his father come from? Do you know?
No, they left in a little town.
Oh, okay.
A little town. So all the money was used up for his sickness. So he learned his trade. Everybody went out, after you went to school, you had to learn a trade. So whatever he learned, whatever he saved, within 3 years, he brought home to his mother. They should have something to live on. And then when he got a little older, they started a business together with his brother, my uncle. So they were in business together. How did they start in their business? Well, they were selling and buying little goats and then cows, and that's how it went. So once when Alf and I were about 14 or 15 years old, he took us once aside and told us a story. My father was, when I knew my father, he was an old man already, so to speak. He's over 60. So sometimes you want to influence a son, and you don't have the same language because there's a generation gap. So how can you influence son? So you tell him of the experience, what happens in your lifetime. So once he took us, my brother and myself, to we had a sukkah, we had a garden in the back of the house. He took us there and he called us in. So he was telling us in the beginning of his business, he had sold a cow to somebody. And they made a guarantee that the cow is, what do you call it?
Healthy or?
Gave birth to, she's pregnant. How do you say?
Oh, pregnant.
How do you say the cow?
I don't know.
All right.
Okay.
She was supposed to be giving birth to a calf. That was to a goy. It happened. Something happened to that thing, and there was a hapala. The cow had a miscarriage. It died. So that man paid the money for it. So he lost money on the deal. So he wanted to get hold of my father. He wanted to get the money back. So they had a din Torah, what is this?
Trial.
So they had a trial. My father was taken to a church, and the man accused him that he promised him this and this, and he didn't. The man didn't say that something happened to the cow. He says my father fooled him. So he came before the judge, and they had to swear how the deal was made. So my father swore. You understand? So the man, that guy, brought what is her name?
Witness.
Brought witnesses that my father, how do you say? If you don't see a lie.
What?
If you say a lie, how do you say?
Lied on the stand.
All right, lied on the stand. And my father was put into jail for half a year. He was the support of the family, and you know how he felt, and he was in jail. So when they were poor, what could he do? Somebody of the friend of the family, a lawyer, came to him, and my father told him the story, and he had found out that that guy had given the judge money to convict him. And this lawyer had a proof of it. But he made my father promise him that he wouldn't persecute that judge or the other fellow that they took what do you call it?
The bribe.
Took a bribe. So my father promised. He stayed in jail when it was shortened. The jail was shortened, but he never. He forgot about it. He took the punishment, and that's it. So now he needs to show you what the kind of my father was. My father's parents. During the war, there were Russian prisoners.
This is World War I.
World War I. There were Russian prisoners by the farmers who had to work in the fields. So my father, my father's business was to go to see the different farmers and ask them if they needed a cow. A cow was used for milking, and was used for working there, for plowing. So he found out there that Jews worked for these people. So he went and got these prisoners off on Shabbos. They came to I don't know about it, it was during the World War, but he told us. that he come every Shabbos. He came, they took him to his house, and he had to sign to the magistrate, and he brings him back. He had to sign for their personal, they shouldn't run away. So that's what he did. Another thing, that in our house, we had a special room for the poor people who came around, poor Jews who came from Eastern Europe, who came around, who didn't have any place to stay, so they stayed in our house. And it was our job, my brother and I, when we were about 5, 6, 7 years old, to take the people and to show these poor people where the Jews lived, so they should get some money. That's, now you get an idea where I come from. Where my house comes from.
And, okay.
Now, further on, later on, we went to school. My brother Alf and I went to school, the gymnasium. We were about 3 or 4 Jews among 1,000 students. But we grew up with a Goyim, so we didn't know any other, so they were our friends. When Hitler came to power, or even before, when he was strong, so they organized, the teachers saw already how the wind was blowing, so they changed. There were some teachers who were socialists, but most of them turned already to the Nazis. When Hitler came to power in Germany, so that 1 year we still went to school, so every hour we had to stand up and say Heil Hitler. Naturally, as a Jew, I couldn't say Heil Hitler, so all the class got up, Heil Hitler, and I stood there. Quiet. So you can just imagine how it felt. I left, I had half a year to go. So it was a choice for me either to come to America or to go to Israel. So I wanted to go to Israel. So there was only one choice, to go to a Hachshara. So the Hachshara was in 2 stages. Half a year you had to learn in the yeshiva, and the rest of the year you had to work on the farm. So we went in the fall, we went to the yeshiva. My brother and I went to yeshiva to Frankfurt am Main. So I stayed half a year. After half a year was up, so there was a question, either I continue or to come to America. My parents were afraid. They heard of the Walcombs, what went on in Israel. So they were afraid to send me there. So they convinced me to come to America. I didn't want to come because, I knew I was religious. That America didn't have a good name for people who be religious. It was very hard to stay religious. But my parents convinced me to come, and my brother promised me he's going to help me. If you want to stay religious, it's up to me to do it. So finally, that was a convincing argument. So I came. So I came to America to my brother. So naturally, right, he was not religious, but he respected my feelings. And as you know, I came on Shabbos, went to his place, and I ate at their restaurant. He paid for me. On Shabbos, I stayed with a cousin, and that's it. So he took me around, and that time was very hard to find a job. I came in the summertime, in the early spring. So finally, I found a job on the farm. So he told me, you stay over the summer, you stay on the farm. In the fall, you come back to New York, you find a job already. In those days, we worked 6 days a week. Right? So it was very hard to find jobs. There are plenty unemployed here in New York without me. And I didn't speak English. I spoke a little bit English, but not well enough. So I stayed half a year on the farm. We came after the holidays. My brother came and took me back to the town. So I came to town, finally I got a job, and I worked. But it was difficult. So I wanted to go to Israel. So I joined up with Hapoel Mizrahi, and we went to the farm. And I was in the farm for the Hachshara, and I was for the Hachshara for 2 years. And I wanted to go to Israel. So it happened. I met my future wife there in the Hachshara, and the plans changed. In the meantime, my parents came too, so I stayed on too.
Now, where did your parents live when they came here?
My parents lived with my sister.
Sophie?
With the Sophie, yes.
And okay, when did Sophie come over?
Sophie came in, first Alfred came in 30, I came in 34, Alfred came in 36, Sophie came in 37. So I stayed, when I came back from the farm, I stayed with a family I knew from Germany. Then when Sophie came, I moved into Sophie's house. I stayed with her about half a year. Then I got married.
Okay. Could you talk just you said how big difference in age between you and Sophie. So just a little bit about Sophie. Did you have a relationship with her?
Sophie, I know Sophie only when she got married already. And Sophie took care of us. Sophie was our bringer up. She was much older. My mother worked very hard. My mother worked in the garden, and she helped out my father. My father was in the business of buying and selling cows, so we always had cows in the house. So she helped. She had to milk the cows, and she was busy in the house. So Sophie she brought us up. I mean, I don't remember it, but when I remember her, she was married already. So Sophie lived in a little town somewhere else. So
how far away?
Well, about 50 miles from us. What I do remember from Sophie, when she gave birth, she used to give birth in our house. That's right. Gerd was born in our house, and Reda was born in our house. The first time she gave birth, the child didn't live. So that's how I remember Sophie. Here, I mean, after her husband died, she got married again, and she lived not far away from us, in Brooklyn. So we visit each other quite often. She had the second husband, a very nice husband, but he was handicapped, and they bought a house in out in the country. They moved up there. Later on, he died, and Sophie became ill with what do you call it? Old age.
Alzheimer's?
Alzheimer's, yes, she had Alzheimer's. So, and she was 10 years, she was in her house, in her home.
What did her husband do? What did they do in the small town in Germany?
He was the same thing with my father.
The
same thing with my father did.
And when he came to the United States, what did they do?
He got a job. He worked I don't know what he did exactly. He worked in another place. He had to take anything that came along, that's all. So they made a living. We all three, the three brothers, paid for the upkeep for my parents.
And did they live close to you, or they live with Sophie?
No, my parents lived with Sophie, and we were married. Alf was in the Alf. Wait a minute. Alf didn't live with Sophie. don't remember.
Okay.
But we were responsible for the upkeep for our parents. So we paid every year, every month we paid a certain amount. So you want to know what happened to me? When I got married, we didn't have money either.
Mm-hmm.
I worked and my wife worked. We had to support my parents. We had to support my wife's parents. So there was not much left for ourselves. That's right. That's how it was. But we had to take on the responsibility, and we did it. And thank God, God helped us in there. And my wife's parents lived with us for 20 years. Till they died, then we moved to Israel. Not before. Okay, noch? So your father Irving was very good to me. I remember the first, when I came here, I came with a valise. That's all was my belongings. So he had to outfit me. So the first time, I wore a suit. It was here in the United States. So where did we go to buy a suit?
What did you wear before that?
Shorts. I came with shorts, like you. That was my style. You know, in Germany, I only wore shorts. So here in the United States, I had to wear a suit. So the first suit, we went there. He knew a place in Chinatown. I think it was Mulberry Street, near Canal Street. So he told me, look, see what's going to be in this store. So he walked up and down, up and down. So the storekeeper knew Irving already, so he put us in. So he told me, oh, try on the suit. So I tried on the suit. Oh, this one fits you. So how much do you want for the suit? So he said $30. He says, no, that's too much. So he says, he puts the suit away. So Irving goes back and takes a look at the suits. So Irving knew the code of the store, how much he had paid for the suit. So he told him, look, he gives him $20. He says, no, I cannot do it. So he walked out. So he tells me, look, the guy, I gave him $2 profits. Watch, he's going to come after us. He's going to pull us in. Surely enough, he walked out. We stayed there a minute in front of the store. He came run after us. He pulled us in. We bought the suit for $20. My first experience.
And do you remember when did Irving get married? Do you remember that?
Irving got married 2 days after me. That's right. When I told Irving that I found a girl, I want to get married, so he came out once to the farm, and he had somebody in the car with him. It was his future wife. It was better, they were engaged. I didn't know either that they were engaged. So they were supposed to get married 2 days before us. It happened that Betty got sick, somebody got sick. So they couldn't keep the date. They were supposed to get married 2 days before me. So I got married before, and they got married 2 days after me.
Big wedding.
A big wedding, that's right. That's how it was. Yeah. Once I took a job for your uncle, for what's his name? Carol's uncle, yes, it's the oldest son, what's his name? The oldest uncle. What's Carol's?
So you took a job from Leo.
I took a job for Leo. Leo had a partner and they did pocketbooks. So they bought a big building in Queens. The building was originally belonged to the telephone company, and they bought it. It was empty, and they wanted to renovate it for their purposes. They made pocketbooks. On the first floor there was a restaurant, so I painted the restaurant, And they were very much satisfied with me. So they gave me the job to do the whole building. That was a building, 4 floors. I was afraid to handle it, because at that time there were questions here of union in New York City. I had union men working for me, but I wasn't not signed up with the union. So naturally everybody was interested to work, so they told me, take the job, we are union men, in case something happens, we're going to cover you. So I signed the contract with Leo and with a partner to do the job. So they started to work. Different people worked there, the plasters, electricians, carpenters. I didn't want to work there while they were there, so I knew I would have trouble with the union. But they wanted to get in there into the place, so they told me, look, you can start at the top floor, that's finished, you can start working. So I had no choice, I had to start. Surely enough, we worked there 2 days, 2 or 3 days without, we had about 10 men there. And the shop steward came around, and he wanted to know who's the boss. So nobody was the boss. All the people were afraid. So they stopped us. This is like, in the meantime, you stop. You tell me who's the boss here, and we said it. So I was in trouble. I didn't know what to do. Naturally, I couldn't continue. The people, my union men, they couldn't continue, because if they would continue, they would be thrown out of the union. And I couldn't continue without a union. So I had to leave the shop. We worked there a couple of days there. I was willing to lose the money what we did. With a couple of days work, I had right 10, they had put in about 50, 60 days labor. I was willing to lose it. And I didn't know about it. So the partner of Leo, they had to get somebody else, a union man. It cost them 3 or 4 times what I had signed for. So Leo's partner wanted to sue me. Sue me for the difference. I had contracted it. So Irving went over to Leo and didn't let him sue me. I didn't know, Irving told me, I didn't know anything about it. But later on, Irving told me, he saved my life. That's what happened. In Germany, I was called Siegfried, a good German name. Naturally, when I came to America, I wanted to get rid of the Siegfried. I wanted to forget that I was a German. So what name could I choose? Naturally, I was called, I had a Hebrew name, which I called to the Torah. But that name was Eliezer. That didn't sound too good here either. But I didn't care. So I took that name Eliezer, so I stayed with that, the name I stayed with. In Germany, I wasn't called Siegfried. I was called Pitt. Pitt. How did I get the name Pitt? My brother Alf couldn't say Siegfried, so he called me Pitt. So somebody heard it. That's the name I was known for, and that's what it was.
And just say your date of birth. When were you born?
I was born in June 10th, 1914.